Welcome to How to Run for Office and Get Away with It, the show dedicated to the mechanics, the ambition, and the sheer nerve required to seek public office. While other people usually break down the art of persuasion and power grabs, today we strip it all back to the most fundamental campaign conversation of all. This episode is dedicated entirely to the internal monologue of the potential candidate. We're talking about the private negotiation, the ego management, and the crucial act of getting your own self on board with a plan that will likely turn your life upside down. How do you go from a private citizen with an opinion to someone who genuinely believes they deserve a spot on the ballot? It's the essential self-endorsement. So settle in. We're going inside the war room, your head. The primary debate begins now. Hey, welcome to this episode of How to Run for Office and Get Away with It.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, B. I am Scott,
I'm B.
and we're going to be talking about all things politics.
Not all things politics.
Most things, a lot of things politics.
A lot of things politics and running for.
Mostly what we're going to be talking about is about politics.
Not the politics most people talk about.
No, not the CNN politics.
Not the arguing back and forth politics.
This time we're going to be talking about
The work of politics.
the work of politics, how to actually get started with it.
And in this particular episode, we're talking about
Don't run for office if you're allergic to running for office.
right. And I love this title.
Just like Ozempic.
Right. Or any of the medicines that they tell you. This is a
The
running
constant stream of ads on CNN,
and ABC.
ADC,
On
every
Sunday mornings and literally every station now is it's not even just news channels.
No.
No,
How do you know if you're allergic to running for office?
this is a running joke in our house.
Yes.
This is a running joke because we have always found it ridiculous. This started like 15 years ago, probably when they first started saying that in the ads for prescription medication, right? We just were like, why would you take it? You're allergic to it. So,
And how do you know if you're allergic?
you know,
So you take it.
right. So, this is in that same vein though.
It really is.
Don't run for office if you're allergic to running for office, and we're gonna
Know what you're getting into before you get into it, and that's what we're here to do.
we're gonna help you
We're
figure out
gonna help you figure out
if you're
all
allergic.
all the things that you had to consider when you're deciding to run.
And just like some of those medicines, it may cause fatigue,
Drowsiness.
depression. There were other side effects. They all need to be considered too.
It's a tough thing to do, running for office, and that's what we're here to do.
And it's usually worth it, but what we're talking about today is going to help you decide whether it is for you
For
personally.
you personally. Everybody's different.
So, on this very rainy fall October day, why don't you sit back, get yourself a nice cup of coffee or maybe a highball, and grab your notebook, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Take notes. We're going to be talking about a lot of important things.
where it is a rainy fall day today,
It is a cold, rainy October day.
but it is almost Halloween for us.
Yes.
It may not be almost Halloween for you listening there at home, but it is for us here as we're recording right now.
One of our favorite times of year.
It is I think right about now. It's the anticipation of Christmas. It's the anticipation of you get Halloween.
Without all of the activities going on around it to exhaust you.
Right. Like you're looking forward to Christmas coming.
Yes.
Like you're still looking forward to it without the dread.
That magical time of year.
You still have Halloween coming up.
Yes, you still have a couple of holidays to do before Christmas.
It's almost election day. Like the finish line is in sight.
Yes.
And then it's almost Thanksgiving, which we always host. So that means my house is about to get very clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is always nice too. So there's all kinds of wonderful things happening, and it's not hot out anymore, which
And
I like the best.
And we're adding to that by having the ambient video
Yeah, I've taken to doing an ambient video on YouTube, just playing in the background wherever, like, at home. And this is a thing that I started because it's hard to get time to yourself and get away, especially with campaigns. So
If you haven't seen them, check them out on YouTube.
now this one that we're watching, I have named the Overlook Lounge. So for us, we're coming to you from a beautiful
A mountaintop retreat.
with an Art Nouveau feel. And this one, if it's done with the AI, it's done very well. I would like to compliment them. All stools and tables have the appropriate number of legs.
Yes.
There are no
Doesn't look all wonky.
extra legs, and I would kill for those hardwood floors. Those are some nice hardwood floors. But these are the kind of the little things that you need to have set up when you're getting ready to run for office.
It just makes your working environment more pleasant and lets you see something that is calming and soothing in the middle of all the chaos of everything going on, whether you're running for office or whether it's just the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not getting a lot of breaks. You're not getting any time to yourself. It does let you step outside of that and just for a minute be anywhere else. For some people, that might be what, like a rain machine,
Sure.
or even just listening to a podcast. Maybe it's listening to us. Oh, hey, everybody.
Are we that soothing?
I'm not, I'm not soothing. You definitely are. You have the kind of voice that you just listen to and you soothe people. You could, what is it? Soothe the savage beast.
Yes.
You could talk a lion into falling asleep. I believe that.
That's nice.
No,
I appreciate that.
no, I mean, it just, you have that nice, lovely, low, calm voice. But speaking of calm, since it is the end of October and everything, it happens to have just been the presidential elections in Ireland, and a stark difference from what it is here in the United States.
That's a stark difference everywhere. It could be in the middle of a war-ravaged area, and it would be more pleasant than the election cycle that we had here.
That's true right now. Well, at the federal level for sure.
The federal level.
It is. They had two female candidates. It was a fairly friendly race. They were both very respectful of one another, and the concession message was one of, "Hey, you are my president. I'm looking forward to all of the amazing things that you're do for our people. I'm here to support you in any way I can." Like, I'm not.
What a nice change of pace from what we're used to in the U.S.
It is, and I can't even say that there are elections where that happens, but that is not very American.
There are not.
There are.
There are not.
There are some local elections. You will see that, but traditionally in America, we have never had races that were pleasant like that. I mean, even John Adams and Jefferson were
Oh, they went at each other.
cutthroat.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it can be a lot running for office, and so it's nice to have a little bit of an escape, and it's nice to have people on your side who can help create that calm for you. But it is definitely a certainty. You need to set things up in advance for yourself so you're not getting just overwhelmed.
And that's why we're here.
That's
That's why Be Political is here. Running for office can be overwhelming, especially when you don't know where to begin. Now, Be Political helps people just like you run for political office with the confidence of having a seasoned campaign manager. With Be Political, you'll find the professional advice you've been looking for, along with guidance and tools you can't find anywhere else. We will help you stay organized and guide you in making important decisions about your campaign, from learning how to secure that big donor to choosing your campaign color scheme and everything in between. Be Political is here for you. It's hard to know where to begin when you want to run. Start here. Be Political can show you the way. For all your campaign needs, go to bepoliticalllc.com. And now back to the show. Back to our conversation.
Listen, that was done seamlessly. That was beautiful.
That's not bad for an amateur.
Well, you're not exactly an amateur. You've done voice work. No, that was done well. I liked that. I liked it.
So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
There are costs involved with a campaign, right?
Of every kind of variety.
Every kind of campaign involves costs, and it's not just about the money, although that's part of it. What are some of the things that you need to consider when you're looking at, can you afford the cost of the campaign?
So just an overview of the six main ones that I usually discuss with people. You have the financial cost,
Sure.
actual money cost of it to you personally. The cost that it has for your family and significant relationships in your life. And we talked a little bit about that in our last episode. We talked about how to mitigate some of that.
Now to understand and anticipate what those costs might be.
Exactly. And setting yourself up for success with to mitigate that cost, and to help you and the people closest to you be prepared for what's happening. It's the affordability of time. Time is a commodity, and that is something you're adding basically a full-time job to your life. Do you have that time? And we'll get into that in a second. Um, can you afford the cost that it'll have on your career, and what cost will it have to your career as it is currently? It may benefit it. A lot of people run for office because it will benefit their career, and it does benefit their career. It's not the reason that you should primarily run for office, but that is a factor, and but it's sometimes it can hurt it. Your personal reputation, you need to consider how running for office will affect your personal reputation. Hopefully it will improve it. Hopefully it will be.
Well, that's the idea.
That's the idea, but maybe not.
Right.
You need to talk about those possibilities. And finally, and that affordability is your mental and physical health. If you've just been diagnosed with a debilitating illness that you haven't properly had addressed yet, that may not be the time to run for office.
Right.
If you have been struggling with anxiety and depression to the point that it's affecting your daily life, that's not running for office is not going to alleviate those symptoms.
No.
So, you need to look at
Nobody is ever stressed out and anxious because they're not running for office.
this is a fact.
Yeah.
This is a fact. So, those are some of the things that you need to talk about when it comes to, can you afford the cost
Yeah.
of running for office? So, financially, let's talk about financially for a minute. You're not necessarily writing a check to your campaign. You may not be. You probably are going to spend. I've never seen anyone run for office and not spend at least $100 on their own campaign, right?
Sure.
And it's not just that financial cost though. You are looking at, what are your revenue streams in life, and will having this added to my life prevent me from being able to maintain those revenue streams?
Very real questions to ask yourself. You need to examine how you make money, how you support your family, how you, whether it's just from your career or from other sources, and what kind of impact could this have on those revenue streams.
I know a lot of blue collar workers who depend on overtime as part of how they make their annual income, and running for office, not having that overtime, that's a financial impact.
Sure.
That is, you're taking away a revenue stream that you have. You're taking away a revenue stream that is part of your household income. You may also have a spouse who has a job that is requires independence from government. So if you're running for office, you get into office, your spouse may not be able to work for the company they work for because they do contract work and it's conflict of interest. Like there's
Definitely a lot of things to consider.
there's a lot of, you need to look at all the ways that you have revenue stream and how running for office and the time that you're taking to do that. And if you win, how
Are you
that
taking
affects it.
Are you taking time off work? Are you taking time off work to run your campaign or to be out there? And is that feasible for you? These are all real questions to ask yourself.
Do you work on commission and you're not able to dedicate as much time to your client?
Sure.
Do you get paid by the number of cases that you're working, or are you going to have to set cases aside? Are you getting paid based on settlements that you procure for other people and you're no longer working on settlements? That's a common problem for a lot of people who run in politics because they're lawyers. So I just talked to somebody who is running for U.S. Congress. They were a lawyer. They were planning on continuing to work at their law office for at least part of the campaign, and then waiting to put their casework aside or being able to work with other people in their law office to move those cases over so that there was no gap in services. Um, Immediately, this person had threats coming in. That's the climate we currently live in. This is, of course, a U.S. congressional race, so you're seeing more of that at that level. But he had to leave his law firm just to protect his law firm and the clients so that they weren't getting threats. And so that revenue stream was suddenly taken from their family.
Right.
So these are things that really need to be considered. How in control are you of your personal income, and how might this affect it, and can you weather that storm?
Right. And let's talk about the cost to family and personal relationships.
And we got into that a lot, last episode.
All of these things kind of tie in together, all of these ideas.
I think the biggest thing that we discussed in that episode was the amount of time and attention you're able to give to each other as a family. And that's especially true of the candidate, but it becomes true of, you know, your significant other. It becomes true of your kids as well. You're going to see them less because they're off doing their things. They're off at their school activities because they're trying to maintain their regular life. Um, Hopefully they can. Hopefully there's things that they don't have to take a break from because there's just no ability to get them to there. Or, I mean, these are really things that get considered. What's the logistics of your household? Will people have to make sacrifices throughout it to make this happen? How much time do you get to spend with each other? And what are the state of your relationships? Can it take that strain? If your marriage is not doing great, running for office, not going to improve that.
No.
No. It never works. I've seen it work in the reverse plenty of times. The only time I think I have ever seen my parents fight in any real way at all, which,
And just to remind our listeners, your father was a politician
yes.
for a number of years.
Yes, for most of my childhood and well into my adulthood. Uh, and the only time they ever argued at all, really, was election time, if you can call it that. They're not. They don't argue with each other. They argue with the rest of the world. But my mother is an argued champion. But yeah, that was the only time that it was ever contentious because it's a lot of stress. And that is something that reverberates out through the house. Now, saying all of this, it can bring you closer as a family. And I've seen it do that too. That doesn't make it less stressful. But if you go into it where everybody understands what their roles are, everybody has an expectation of what's about to happen, on what the limitations that each person in your household has, and ways in which you can still carve out time together as a family. It might be stuff in envelopes. It might be going door to door. You can turn knocking on doors for your campaign into a nice walk with your family. It's actually a nice way to spend time. But
And we keep talking about time as the determining factor in a lot of these, and that's one of the big costs to consider.
and time being the next commodity. So what I'm talking about there, what we're talking about is knowing how to double up your time.
Campaign and spend time with your family simultaneously.
Or, you're using your lunch break instead of going out to lunch like you normally would. You're sitting in your car at the office and you're making donation phone calls from there. Um, and you're doubling up your lunch and your call time.
Sure.
And you're not taking time off of work. Other ways you can double up time. Exercise. If you need to maintain your health and exercise, that's a great time to be listening to podcasts like us that help you get through the campaign.
Right.
That's a great time to be listening to local news, updates on concerns that people have. There's all kinds of things that you can do to double up your time and reserve that commodity. It's about identifying the time that you have and then identifying those places in advance. It's an organizational thing. And that's what this whole exercise is about.
Yes, being aware of all of these things up front so that you can better organize yourself so that they're not campaign killers.
And then obviously, as we're talking about that time, you've got two big parts of your life that take up the most time. We've talked about family. The other is career.
Your career.
Right. And that you've spent traditionally your entire life more time at work than you have with your family, which is a damn shame, people. Now we need to get out, but you do. I mean, your workplace becomes family for a lot of people. So, being able, if you have the ability to have those things overlap, that's awesome. And of course, the other big thing, as we're talking about time, we've talked about the biggest chunk of your time, family, and the other biggest part of your life that's time. Biggest part of your life
Two things that take up most of your time.
is your career.
Yes.
So we talked about family, which is a big part of your time commodity, what you have available. That takes up a big chunk of it. But the bigger chunk of your time commodity is taken up by your career. Usually, if you are still in the middle of your career, if you are not, retired, or if you are not in a position to take time off work, or you haven't settled in and established yourself, your career is taking up probably more than 40 hours a week in a lot of instances.
And you're going to be expected to add a second career to whatever you're doing now during the campaigning process.
It's taking on another full-time job.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to dedicate that time that you might have been dedicated to your career, are you stalling your career? Are you stalling your progress in your professional life because this is a different avenue of professional life?
These are all decisions that each individual has to make.
And that's hard to discuss. I mean, we can talk about the ways in which it may affect your career. There's a lot of positives to it too. If you own a small business and you're running for office, it's great name ID. If you can keep the race positive and keep the name ID positive, for sure. That's not why you run. I think I've already said that in this episode. I will say that every time. The reason you should run for office is because you believe that you can make your community better. There can be secondary reasons, but if that is not your main reason for running, please do America a favor and wait until it is. Right?
Right.
But careers are so varying. It's really just sitting down. Am I taking time away from this? Probably. Can I afford to do that? But financially and in the progression of my career. And I think everybody knows how to ask those questions. They know their job well enough. If you're a doctor, you're like head of surgery or something. You don't want to run for office. That's a big job, right? You can't do both those. You're gonna have to step away.
Neurosurgery and running for city council.
They don't. You don't want to do that. You're serving two masters.
Yeah, which is, what a lot of people are going to fall into that category.
And you've got to decide whether you can do that.
Well, let's talk about the cost to your personal reputation. What what kind of name do you have in your community with your friends and family? And what do people think of you? Um, and are they going to think differently of you?
Hopefully, and this should be your goal, they will think better of you.
Because you're able to get out there and really express yourself and talk about things that are important to you and what you can do to help better your community. That's a very positive message to have.
Hopefully, yeah, you're going out there and you have a message that people walk away from you thinking this is a person who genuinely cares about the people in our community, about making our world a better place. And, that's always good for anyone's reputation uh, in your community. However, there's a lot that goes with this. And if it's a contentious race, there are hits that you take to your reputation. You may not have had.
There may be people who think differently of you because they know now what political party you might be
That's
affiliated
a
with.
big one.
Sure.
There's a lot of races you can run for that have no political party attached to it. So that's something to really consider when you're deciding to run for office. If you're deciding if this is something that I can't give that up, I can't, you know, risk that part of my reputation, that's something to consider when you're looking at what office is appropriate to fund for.
Sure.
You're looking at maybe your community is incredibly unforgiving to people of your political persuasion. And that's you have a small business in that community and they're going to boycott your business if they see you running for office as that political party. Is that happen? That happens. I don't think it's okay. I can understand in some instances where people choose that because someone is a hateful person or they support ideas that are uh, morally offensive, but uh, people can be petty. So, that
People are petty.
okay, people are petty. I've heard some truly ridiculous reasons why people were not voting for someone, and it is petty. There are, it is amazing to me.
Yes. And finally, let's talk about your mental and your physical health.
Yeah. So honestly, get a checkup.
Make sure that you're in shape to do this.
You need to get a annual physical for sure.
Always a good idea.
Always, you need to do that for certain. Like just for general health purposes, and that should be something that you do. Take care of yourself, people, and don't wait for your spouse to bug the crap out of you to go to the doctor. Scott,
Thank you.
no, they're and I'm not going to say husbands. I'm not going to say wives. I'm going to say this is just some people. I'm from Appalachia. We will wait to go to the doctor. Now, I won't. I will go to the doctor immediately. I'm sick. I want that. I don't have time to be sick. I want that gone. Um, but there are people who put that off. Now is not the time to do that. But yeah, if you're, running for office before you make that final decision, you should have an annual physical. You should do that.
Absolutely.
You should have your doctor check everything that's age appropriate for you. Everything that goes along with your medical history, make sure that you are physically ready for this. And you should put in place having a therapist. Now, a lot of people shy away from that, but when you are running for office, you don't have many people that you can trust, that you talk to, that have to keep their mouth shut. Um,
Therapy is a very good.
Therapy is a great place that you can go and talk to somebody and feel secure that when you're talking, you are able to truly express yourself and your feelings without fear of somebody using that against you. Or it should be if you're going to a licensed therapist,
Yeah.
do that. But that is, you know, the stigma for that should be non-existent, but I know that it's going away. Have that in place. I've seen people who've never had a panic attack before start saying, this strange thing is happening every time I'm doing this. it starts feeling hot in here, or I'm having a little trouble breathing sometimes. It's like that's anxiety. You've got too much stress and you're not letting it out in the appropriate places. So having those systems in place up front and making sure that you're in the right place mentally is just as important as having an annual physical.
Absolutely. So keep yourself in shape. Make sure that you're in good enough condition to be able to run. These are all really important topics that you should discuss with your family and discuss with yourself.
Talking to someone, making sure you have those systems put in place, that's just as important as getting a physical. Uh, that's just as important as going to your general practitioner and getting an annual physical. And seeing a licensed therapist or going to a psychologist or psychiatrist or whoever it is that you go to. Or if you don't yet, finding somebody.
I think the point is just like you would do annual physical exams.
Exactly. It's just as
It's
important.
just as important as that to do a mental exam
And, this,
and have somebody that you can talk to about it.
I think that this entire topic, this is part of mental wellness and preparation. It's making sure that you're setting yourself up for success with preparation and alleviating some of the anxiety of having chaos in your life. So, one of the things that Scott is famous for, he tells me all the time, I have too good of a memory. It's a problem, so I rely on it more than I should. But as you're going through this, and it's essential, what you need to do, what you need to do with your
You
answers,
need to write it down.
write it down.
Get your campaign notebook. The first pages should be filled with the things that we're talking about today, the answers to questions that you need to be asking yourself, and a checklist of areas that you have considered and that you're comfortable with.
So, we're going to make sure a lot of this information is up on the podcast website.
You'll be able to find a list of all of these questions on the website, bepoliticalllc.com
/how to run.
/how to run.
Or you can just go to bepoliticalllc.com and you'll
Click
find,
on the podcast.
click on the podcast link. But, we're talking about writing this down. It's not only just for you to keep track of the decisions that you're making, it's also for campaign use. And that's the next part we're going to get into because we're going to be asking questions very specifically about, why it is that you're running for office. You need to write these things down and you're going to be using them to populate your website, to write your stump speech. You're going to be using them for all kinds of things because these answers come back to why are you running for office? What do you have to contribute? So
the first question you need to ask yourself, and write down the answer to this so that you can refer back to it and be honest and think about it seriously. What are the drawbacks of running? So we just talked about some of the costs. Are those costs too great for you to be able to run and accept that? Or is it just a bump in the road that you can overcome?
are they sacrifices that you're willing to make?
How far are you willing to sacrifice? Yes.
And are you willing to discuss those sacrifices with the public? Because the public deserves to know what you're giving up in order to do the public service.
I have so much respect for anyone who campaigns and runs for office, whether they win or not, because they're putting themselves out there, and we know all of the caveats and the hardships that go along with that, and it takes a lot, and you should have respect for anybody who puts himself in that position.
Yeah, and it's important to know, when we're writing down what are those drawbacks, when we're discussing what those drawbacks are with other people, we don't want to sound like we're whining about it.
That's not whining.
It's not that.
It's being honest and being realistic about things.
It's being honest with voters and letting them know, hey, I would much rather be at my kid's softball game right now. I'm here because this is important to me. I'm here because you're important to me.
And you'll be able to answer these questions and justify what you're doing by looking at these and thinking about them seriously. What are the drawbacks of running? What can you do to contribute to your community is another important question.
This is a big one. What is it that you have that maybe other people have and aren't offering, or that other people just don't have that you can provide for the community? That's a big question to answer, and you may think it's nothing, until you start really you I'm gonna make people answer that question because everybody has something that they can contribute to their community that nobody else can. And this is part of a confidence building exercise too.
Sure, you're putting yourself out there for public scrutiny and people asking you questions and trying to ascertain why they should vote for you, why they should put their trust in you, and why they should believe that you are the best person for that job.
It's a job interview.
It's a job interview on massive scale.
Yeah, you're interviewing with several thousand employers, and you're gonna end up repeating yourself over and over. Having these things established, it makes sure that you're giving a consistent answer to the public. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It means that you have a consistent and clear
It shows that
description,
you understand yourself and what's going on.
and it helps you answer this. You're getting the same questions over and over and over again. You don't want to be searching for what the words are and how to articulate what you're trying to say. This helps you make those words. It helps you create that message. This is the beginning point of that.
And it helps to develop your campaign personality, how you present yourself in the public while you're getting bombarded with questions about everything under the sun.
So why are you running for office, and what do you have to give that, what's so special about you? Why should I vote for you? These are real questions. And people say them that blunt.
Thinking about these things, sitting down and writing them down and thinking about them beforehand really lets you be honest about and sincere about what you're thinking and how you're feeling, and
In a clear and concise way.
that not only makes you a better candidate, it gives you a better chance of winning because people will pick up on that.
They'll pick up on the fact that you're a thoughtful person. You take the time to truly think about things before you deliver that information to public. And you think of the best way to articulate that
Right.
to everyone consistently. That's essential, which then gets into, the next question you really need to answer for yourself, which is,
What kind of elected official do you want to be?
and if you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of elected officials. So, just an example, you're looking at, are you going to be the kind of person who you're always downtown at a certain time, and anyone and everyone can meet you at that place? There's a certain restaurant that you eat lunch at every day, and everybody can find you there. That's a very small town thing to do. I see that. I see people hold court at the Cracker Barrel. It's true. People hold court at the Cracker Barrel. They know when that elected official is going to be there on every Tuesday morning, and they can stop by and join them for a cup of coffee and talk to them about their problems.
Are you approachable?
Are you an approachable person? Are you a more formal leader? Do you believe as an elected official it's your role to be the representative of the people and decide for them because you have all the information that the public doesn't necessarily have? Or are you more of a person who wants to have as much input from the public as possible and hold town halls regularly?
That's a delicate balance between the two, I think.
Those are two very legitimate styles of governing. Both are considered appropriate in the United States. Both are philosophies of how you govern in a republic. One is that you go there, you come back and you report what you're doing, but you don't necessarily check with the public for every single thing. And the other is where you continuously update the public and keep them as informed as possible, which is a bigger job. Constantly keeping the public educated and not really acting unless you know you have the will of your constituency. That's another way to to be a representative to hold public office. Um, and there's different styles of those and different caveats and how you make yourself available. Do you want to set clear boundaries with your constituency so that they understand when you're at your place of worship or when you're at the supermarket, that's not really the time to approach you? Or do you want people to feel like any time's a good time to come and talk to you when it comes to?
And a lot of that has to do with your own personality, your own preferences, and it's okay either way.
And it's great to set boundaries. That's important.
But understanding that up front is going to make things a lot easier.
And understanding what it is that the constituency in your area wants and what they're looking for in a leader. If that's not something that you can provide, you either need to make the case for why your style of leadership best suits them, or, you need to decide whether you can adjust to what your constituency desires out of the type of leader that they're looking for.
I think the most important questions on this list is, what office are you qualified for?
Yeah, people don't take the time to ask that question before they decide and run.
You decide that you want to run for office, good for you. That's great, and that's admirable. But are you actually qualified to hold that office?
Are you old enough to run for that office?
Right.
Do you have the licensing? There's offices you can't run for unless you have a certified accounting
A CPA.
CPA. There's ones that you can't run for unless you have a medical degree. Like coroner, where we live, the coroner is an elected position. A lot of places it is. You have to have a medical degree a lot of times, rightfully so. For that's a requirement.
And that's part of your preparation process is investigating and finding out the office that you're interested in. Are you qualified for it?
And
are there age limits? Are there any other certification requirements like you were saying?
And here's what's really important. If you're not currently qualified for it, that doesn't mean you don't run for that office. It means you push out your timeline for when you run for that office. And then you do those things in preparation for running for that office. It's no different than any other career choice. You know that that's what's required of it, and that's the office you really want to run for. Then you set yourself up with a longer timeline to prepare for it.
Sure.
Which honestly is the ideal way to go.
Yeah. And you also want to ask yourself, what are the unofficial qualities that you have? Because you're going to be out selling yourself.
Yeah, this is really one of the more topics.
Yeah, there are any number of personality traits or abilities or backgrounds that you can have that make you more uniquely qualified for a particular office than other people. And you need to understand what those are and be prepared to present those qualifications.
I am naturally a very organized person. A lot of people aren't. Believe me, people who are organized are very aware.
I am not.
I wasn't saying that. You said that. I didn't say that. But I am naturally a very organized person, and I thrive on not only organization, but doing the organizing. That is a characteristic that is non-tangible that I bring wherever I go. That is a characteristic that's ideal in office. You have a wonderful flexibility about you, which is essential in being in public office, right? So have you ever seen an itinerary kept past noon for
Me?
for an elected, for somebody running for office?
Running for office? No.
They
Schedules change
constantly.
all the time.
And you're supposed to be done work at 5, or you're supposed to be done something at 5 for the day, and you're not getting home until 8 o'clock. And because stuff happens and you have to be flexible. I push back against the changes in schedule because I like to keep the trains running. You bring flexibility to things that, and that's a quality that you're bringing into that is essential to running for, or not essential, but it's a desirable quality. These are the qualities that again, it's a job interview. You need to determine what characteristics you bring that make you, that make you better qualified for this job.
So not only do you need to understand the qualifications required for a particular office, but is that the right office for you and what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve um,
In 3 areas.
in multiple areas? Yeah.
So, you want to consider what initiatives you want to enact as a public official. And then you need to look at what offices are most likely to be able to affect those things.
So while we're talking about the qualifications for an office or choosing the office that you want to run for, you need to make sure that you're qualified legally for all the requirements of it. But also, is it the right office for you? Is it is it does it meet your goals, or does it allow you to pursue your goals?
Your public initiatives,
Yeah, exactly.
but also your personal goals. Like you're going to jump in. This is again, and I keep saying this, it's a career path, right?
Sure it is.
And you've left this, you haven't necessarily left your other career path, but you've stopped walking down that path for a while. So if you're going down this road, is the office you're running for taking you to your ultimate goals? Not just in your public initiatives, but where you can do the most good in life or what your plans are in life.
Because it is a very personal thing.
It is. And there's nothing wrong with making a career out of being a public servant if that's where your talent leads you. It's very admirable. And don't let anybody tell you different. So it's not just public initiatives, it's also your personal goals, but your long-term goals. Because maybe you're starting out running for your local city commission or for your county clerk. But your goal is to be a congressperson or it's to be Secretary of State. So,
Is that office on the right path? Is it going to give you the experience or the name recognition or the political power, for lack of a better term?
political experience.
Yes.
Is it going to give you the political experience that you need? If you're running for judge executive of a county, which is something that they have in Kentucky, you have the judge executive, which is sort of like
They're in charge of the county.
the executive branch of each county. Then, that's a great place to start when you're considering a career that ends with governor or even president of the United States, because that's an executive position and it gives you the experience that you can say that you have already run. Um, Again, county clerk is a great opportunity for name ID. It's also a great place to start if you'd like to be Secretary of State one day for your particular state. So, choose as if you're choosing a career path because you're choosing a career path. And maybe, and this may sound crazy, but maybe your goal is to be in that office and hold that office and make as much impact as you can in that office. And you would like to be in that office for 30 years and keep reinventing and creating, something really special for your community that comes from that office. Maybe that's your goal. That's okay too. But pick the right office
And understand what your goals are.
and understand that up front. And they may change in the future, but start somewhere.
Sure.
Make an informed decision, which then gets us to our next question, which is that the office that you want to run for or that you're qualified for or the only one that it makes sense for you to run, is it even attainable right now?
Right.
Because do they have, maybe that office has somebody who's doing a phenomenal job. There are offices where you have somebody who's running and it is, you can run for it, but it is not winnable.
Pick your battles.
I mean, it's important to be realistic.
Absolutely.
And if you've had somebody who's been in that office and they're immensely popular, they've done an excellent job, everyone loves them, and you're going to go run against them with less experience and all, it's an uphill battle. And
You know what? Go for it, but just
go
be
for it.
be prepared for that to be an obstacle that you have to overcome.
Or be prepared for it to be prepared for your goal to not be winning that office. Sometimes running for office is not about winning the office, although that is wonderful when that happens. Sometimes it's about running for office so that you have a platform for voices who don't normally get heard
Sure.
to be heard. And you need to decide, again, what office is right for doing that, and never do that without a plan for winning if you win.
So it-
The next question in is this the is this office attainable at this time?
right.
You're not just looking at, is there a lifelong or is there an incumbent in there that's just,
Is there a chance you can win?
is there a chance you can win? And part of that comes from, do you represent the district? Do you reflect what the district wants out of their elected official? Do you reflect the ideas that the community has for what they want to see come out of that office? If you don't, then either you have a uphill battle of convincing the public why they want something different from what they currently understand they want, or you need to recognize that you're not representing what the community wants or needs. You're representing what you want or need, or what a much smaller group of people want or need out of that office. And then, again, you have to recognize that that's just not a winnable office for you. But if you want to go ahead and still run, don't let that keep you from running. Make that an opportunity for your voices and concerns to be heard. And you may change, you may shift, you may create that policy window that you're looking to create that shifts the person who wins to have to do those policies anyway, because now you brought them to the attention of other people. Maybe you can't win that office, but you've shifted public opinion on the things that you were trying to.
So if your ideal situation is that you are progressing public policy in a positive way or in a particular way, that's one way to address that is running for an unwinnable seat, but bringing those policies or those ideas to the spotlight.
A perfect example of that is Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
You know, he didn't run thinking that he was going to win the presidency. He ran to try to pull some of the discussion that was happening towards the left and start opening policy windows for things like, whether or not we're taxing people the way that is economically sound, whether or not we are, doing enough to support our middle class. So, and he did a lot of that. He inspired a new generation. So, he created a political movement, and he did sway people in the way that they were looking at things or considering policies that they had never looked at the way that he was discussing it before. And he did shift a large segment of the population in a direction that they may not have gone before. And, that brings us to another topic is, are you the person to do that? Are you the person that can make that change? Are you the best person to fill that role? Are you the best person to fill the role of that office just because it's something that you want to do? Doesn't mean that it's the that you're the best person for it. And you have to decide, are you running for the best outcome for my community, for the ideals that I represent, or am I running because I want to be in charge of that? And you need, going back to the questions you have to answer, what do I bring to the table this job interview? You need to be able to answer why you're the best person for that job. But, ultimately, none of it really matters if you don't go back to those first 6 questions.
Yes.
And those first 6 questions answer the biggest question that you have to answer before deciding to run, which is, does this fit your lifestyle, your life, your career, your family? What happens if you win? So one of the biggest examples I have of that is let's say you're running for state rep. Where's the capital? Are you going to be able to live part-time 3, 4, 10 hours away from your home? Are you going to be able to go back and forth between where you're fulfilling your responsibilities as a representative?
So looking at this beyond just the campaigning aspect of it, consider the result of actually winning.
There are consequences to winning.
There are consequences to winning.
And, can you be away from your family as much as it may require? Now, if you're running for your local government, okay, maybe the biggest problem is that now you have an ongoing situation where you're not as home as much as you used to be, but you got used to that during a campaign. But you didn't get used to traveling back and forth to, a capital where your family is hours and hours away, where you're seeing them on weekends at best, or you're not seeing them but for every third week because of your legislative requirements. So that's a big question. The next question is, how often does that office run for reelection?
How much are you going to have to be running for office in addition to performing the duties of the office?
Exactly. Congress is every 2 years. Some state legislature follow that same rule. Not all of them, but some. Some senates are 4 years throughout the country. Some are 6, just like our U.S. Senate races. So there now, you know me. Do you ever stop running for office once you're in office?
Never stop running.
You never stop running for office. But the intensity that you're running for office during election years is undeniably more. No matter how intent you are on maintaining the idea that every year's an election year, it just is. A real election year is far more intense. And can you do that every other year for 10 years? Can your family sustain that? Can your careers? Again, we go back to those first few things. And then, what's the living arrangements? Again, a lot of your representatives, if you're serving in a state capital or definitely in DC, you have to have an apartment where you are. You have to have somewhere, and you are living in like college kind of situations. You are bunking a lot of times, sharing rooms with other elected officials. A lot of times you're just sharing an apartment with like 2 or 3 other people because you're only living there part-time. You sleep on a twin bed and you're sharing a kitchen, and you might have a chore wheel on the refrigerator or what have you, and then everyone sees each other more at work than they do in the place where you're just going to sleep. So, is that something that you're willing to live with if that's a requirement of the job? Is that something you can do? If that's not something, if you know that that's just not something that you're capable of for whatever reason, then that needs to be a consideration as well.
Yes.
I feel like we're talking these people out of running for office.
No, I don't think we're talking people out of running for office. Just the reality of it.
So don't let us talk you out of it.
Definitely not.
Take it seriously.
And
Be enthusiastic.
don't let us talk you into it either.
Don't let anybody talk you into it. Answer these questions. Talk yourself
This
into it.
is all about talking to yourself about it.
And you'll end up talking yourself into it a little bit too. But don't let this give you imposter syndrome. Don't let this give you like a feeling that you can't. Just let it be a tool to help you. Make sure you're looking at this as a tool for your greatest success rate. And speaking of tools, what's our next step?
Our next step is writing some essays.
Essay time.
Writing an essay, just like back when you were in school. Think about the question and write it down. Keep it close to your heart all the time. Why do you want to run?
That's probably the most important question.
And we've kind of touched on it here and there, but understand why. What are your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish both professionally and personally? Why do you want to run for office?
And that's the most important one you're going to write down, because from that, why do I want to run? That's going to become your stump speech. That's going to become part of the theme for every public speaking event that you have. And people will walk up to you and ask you, why are you running? Strangers will see you, recognize you, walk up to you and say, why are you running for office? No segues. They just do. And you'll be surprised at how often it happens. And you'll have to answer that question. And you should have any hesitation and they'll feel it. You need to know the answer.
Right.
So you write this one down. You write all of these down, but you write this one down.
Why do you want to run for office as the first one? What issues are important to you?
Minimum of 5.
Absolute minimum of 5. Because you're going to be talking to different groups of people who have similar concerns or similar issues that they're concerned about. And they're not always going to be the same. So you need to be well versed in multiple issues that are happening in your community that need to be addressed, that you feel that you can address them.
And that you've taken the time to become, a lay expert, not to use oxymoron.
Educate yourself about the community.
To be a highly educated layperson on the topic, if not a highly educated expert on the topic, because hopefully you're drawing on your own career professional experience as well.
Right. So what makes you uniquely qualified to address these issues? That's the next question.
Right. And that's exactly it. We're talking about, you have these issues that are important to you. They're important for a reason. And you're looking at, how does your experience both as a person throughout your life, but also as a person professionally, educationally, like experience, all these ways in which you are uniquely qualified.
Right. And finally, why would you vote for you?
If you can't answer that, you should not be running for office.
That's what you're trying to convince other people to do. So you have to be able to understand that for yourself first. Why would you vote for you?
Why would you vote for you?
I wouldn't vote for me.
You wouldn't vote for me?
I know myself too well. I definitely didn't vote for me.
Let's see. Why would I vote for me? Besides the fact that I am obnoxiously organized, I think I have a great passion for public service.
That you definitely do.
I have such a passion for public service that it is like an essential need to be helping my community. See right there. You can borrow that answer if it's true for you too.
I have a passion for public service.
I have a passion for public service and for organizing. So, and then it's really just that fine. We're talking about being honest with yourself, right? And it's really just about being honest with yourself. And this is more of a soul searching thing. And I encourage you to write these things down, keep them nearby, keep them for yourself personally. Why is this the right time for you to run? You're going to need to have answered the question, is it the right time to run? And then you're going to need to remind yourself why. Later on, you're going to have days where you need to remind yourself why you decided that this was the right time to run. So, and also people are going to ask this question and you're going to need to be able to articulate that too. Why is right now the time that you need to run? And you're going to be able to answer that by being able to answer the question, do you have the personal support system for this? Do you have the people around you who are saying, we've got your back, let's go do this, we're a team?
Both with personal and campaign support.
Yeah.
And a financial pool of contributors. Because it does take money to win.
Exactly. And so, you need the people that are closest to you. They're on board. They're ready. You've looked around, you widen that circle, and you've got some supporters and you've got volunteers who are willing to support you financially, who are willing to support you with their time and effort, and vice versa, support you financially. Everybody starts to get nervous when I say that. I mean, they're willing to host a fundraiser in their backyard. They're willing to make some phone calls for you. Not just they're willing to write you a check for $2,000. And those people are an entirely different class of people. Do you have people who are willing to help you collect those $10, $50, $100 donations that really should make up the majority of your campaign when you're running for office the first time?
Do you have people who be willing to walk the street and knock on doors and make phone calls and do all the fundraising activities that need to be done, as well as being personally supportive of you?
And then, you want to look at the next question of, have you taken the time to properly prepare as a member of your community by being involved in the community? Have you taken the time to be involved in the community? Does the community know you? Did the constituents who you're asking to represent, did they know who you are in any way? Have you ever done anything for your community before to really have an idea of what's necessary, of what's lacking, of what resources are available? Are you going places? Are you volunteering at your local fire hall? Or are you going to local meetings? Are you donating to food pantries? Or are you going to your community theater and supporting the arts that are the people that perform within your community?
Yeah. The unique thing about political office is it's not only are you qualified to do the job, but can you get elected? And all of these activities and community events and things that you should be in some way involved in help with that electability.
Because not only is it preparing you, it's helping you have a fundamental understanding of your community that you can't have unless you're active within it. But it's also getting you, what's that big important thing I always say?
Name ID.
Second only to vote is name ID. You can't. Name ID translates to votes. So having people already know your name going into an election, going into running for office, that is a huge hurdle, and it's an expensive hurdle. If you go into an election with no name ID, you're going to have to spend some time and money building it up. And you can do that.
Time is the big thing there.
Yeah, and
You have to spend a lot of time building those relationships and creating that.
Take the time to build a foundation.
Yes.
Build a foundation within your community. And then, answer the question honestly. It's sort of where we left off with everything. Is this an insurmountable task? I mean, are you really going into this Don Quixote style, right? Is this something that...
Are you okay with losing?
Are you okay with losing?
And what does that mean for the future?
And I cannot stress this enough. Get comfortable. No, don't get comfortable. Never get comfortable with the idea of losing. Accept that is an outcome that may happen. Emotionally and mentally prepare for that outcome. And then ask yourself, after all of that, if you lose, are you willing to do it again? Because that's the real test. Do you want this bad enough that you can see that is just the first step? Or is that the last step to getting what you... Because I tell people that if you want that office, you've got to be willing to run for it twice.
Whether you win or lose, you need to be willing to run again. Campaigning and running for office is totally different than serving for office. And even if you win, you're still going to have to run again. You're still going to have to go through all the campaigning and the fundraising and all the stuff that goes along with that again.
And
which can be harder if you've lost. Mentally, it's a little bit of a kick in the teeth.
Or you can recognize that most politicians who are very successful ran for office and lost the first time that they ran. They did. Because what happened? They ran for office. They learned from the mistakes that they made the first time. They learned who they could trust and who they couldn't. Got some experience and got comfortable with getting contributions for their campaign. They got comfortable with how to properly articulate their message to a wide audience. They got the name ID.
And there's nothing better than having that experience to help propel you in the future for doing it again.
Now, of course, the best thing that you can do when you don't have a lot of experience in doing anything is asking people who do have experience. If only our audience had somebody with experience in running for office that they could turn to, Scott.
Like Be Political.
That's right. That's what Be Political does.
That's what we do.
Oh, yeah, that's what we do. So, learn to trust the people who have experience in these things and let them guide you. Learn from their experience. Stand on their shoulders. Stand on our shoulders.
Stand on our shoulders.
So,
Amy, is there, what are some other things that people should be working on doing before they finally decide to run?
Number one, attend public meetings. Any way that the office that you're running for meets, you should 100% be there attending those or reading transcripts from past meetings. But you should be doing that for offices that you're not running for that are public meetings, at least reading the transcripts if you can't go, because it's giving you a concept of what's happening in your local government.
Sure.
What's happening, well, definitely in your local government. What's happening with your constituents in all areas of government? They don't know, but your constituents don't always understand who's in charge of what policy. So you're going to need to know what's on their mind.
You're also going to learn the kind of the ins and outs of how the procedures go.
Exactly.
If you go to a public meeting of your city council, there are procedural items that have to be dealt with. And so you're not going into that blind. You're understanding what needs to happen during a meeting for public record, or for
Decorum.
decorum. Yeah.
Yeah. What are they, a Robert's Rules body? Are they what are they using parliamentary rules in that body? What is the normal?
And you can never go wrong with attending public meetings in your community. If you want to run for office or you just want to be involved and knowledgeable about what's happening in your community.
And a lot of times, if you're feeling like your local government isn't paying attention to the community, or they're just doing whatever they want, they're able to get away with that because the community doesn't understand the rules that they're operating under, but they do. Those government bodies and the people in them do understand how things work, and they're able to use people's naivety regarding it in order to get one over or get things through without having to deal with the public. Hopefully you're not one of those people. Transparency is a big deal with me. But besides that, it empowers you as a citizen. It empowers you as a citizen, understanding what rules they're playing by and being able to use those rules to it. So, you've got that.
And it might even give you the opportunity to get to know some of your current elected politicians.
Gain some goodwill.
Maybe pick their brain a little bit on the important aspects of the office.
Find out who's not running for re-election.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy that can be gained from
develop relationships.
Public meetings. That's very important.
And you can start seeing who else is going to those public meetings or who else is taking notice of those meetings. Being aware, information is key, and all the information that you can get it. That is, no one can take.
And oftentimes the other attendees at public meetings are people in the community who hold sway over public opinion or have a following or have a group of people that they're involved with who they hold some
position of authority.
Some position of authority where their opinion matters.
You get to know the key players.
Yes.
By being present, you get to know who the other actors are.
Right.
Whether they're going to be an opponent in a race or whether they're just somebody in the community that you may have a problem with, or somebody who may be able to help you, somebody who may be an endorsement that you realize that you need to seek, um, or somebody else that other elected officials or other people running for office may not have recognized has started to get influence within the community as well. A community leader who's not seeking office but is organizing.
You may even run into other people who are considering running for office, so you can understand where they're coming from,
And who your opponent may be.
who your opponent may be.
So you want to do that. You also want to be tracking some of that stuff, especially things that are related to the issues that you are wanting to do something about. Track the legislation, track the things that are passing at your city hall or the actions that are being taken within that office, who's doing them, when they're happening, what the situation is around them. A lot of times when you're running for city government or state legislature, those bodies have something called bill tracking. You can choose specific bills and get alerts. That's not universal by any means throughout the country, but you may want to check to see if they have bill tracking within the area where you want to run for office, if that's going to be something that helps you follow the issues that are important to your area or for your campaign. Big, big deal. This one is essential, preparing for office. Talk to somebody who's held that seat before. Again, we're talking about, you know, building on other people's experience, looking to people who know where you don't have that experience yet. It is invaluable getting somebody who's had that seat before, whether it's very specifically the seat you're running for or something adjacent. Maybe maybe you're running for a state representative and you don't have somebody that you can talk to that's held that seat, but you can talk to another state representative. You can talk to somebody who's nearby who serves the next district.
And while you're at it, talk to the people who work there. Talk to the employees or the staff of the elected officials, if possible, to get their opinions and their feelings about how things are going and what seems to be working and what is not.
That's your frontline soldiers.
Any kind of experienced.
Insight into the office.
There you go. Experienced insight into the office. I like that.
And they're able to tell you as much as politicians, as much as office holders are talking to the public, the way that the public talks to the person holding office and their staff, world's different.
Oh yeah,
right?
definitely.
So most people think I'm going to tell them what for as soon as I see them. And there are people who do that. But there are other people that the moment that they're next to somebody with even a minuscule amount of power, they just crumble. They're like, oh, it's so nice to see you. And I just adore you. And 5 seconds ago, they were talking about how they were a scumbag and they were going to tell them to their face, right?
Right.
I mean, we've all seen that. Everybody's big talk until they're put up in front of it. So, but people don't have that reservation for public servants. Please do, by the way. Government service is really a calling. You may not think that the people who are working at your county clerk's office are there because they have a calling, but public service, the civil servant positions are not the most rewarding.
Tough.
You have to really love serving the public in a lot of cases. So show them love and realize that they've been understaffed in large part because nobody wants to pay the taxes that would provide them with the staff that they need to give you the services that you want in the time frame that you want it in. So they're probably doing 2 jobs at once and nobody says thank you and everybody's mean. So they're hearing exactly what is pissing people off.
Sure.
And they are definitely going to be able to tell you what's going on with that office and what makes people happy with the office and what pisses them off. Now, understand you don't want to get into loyalties, right? A lot of people working in that office are going to be loyal or,
You're right.
you just want to talk to them about what's working and what isn't in their office from their point of view. And a lot of public servants are very excited to have somebody want to hear
So talk to
their idea.
talk to the employees, get their opinions on things. Talk to the people that you're in line with at the DMV.
That
Talk
one.
talk to people who are actually using the services,
Straight from the horse's mouth.
right, to see what their concerns are, what their frustrations are, what their ideas are, and understand that people are going to have very powerful positions sometimes on specific issues.
They're gonna have
But the more
strong opinion.
the more people that you strong opinions,
Yeah.
yes, the more people that you can talk to and pick their brain from all different aspects of it, whether it's the elected officials, whether it's the staff and employees, or whether it's people who are using the services, that lets you get a more well-rounded knowledge of what's actually going on and maybe what needs to be happening. Communication is the key.
And I think that this is really, more than anything, a conversation about communication with yourself, being honest with yourself, communicating to yourself what it is that you're doing and why, and articulating that so that you can remind both you on those dark and lonely nights, um, when you can't sleep, even though you've got 3 hours until you've got to be to the next thing that you've got to drive to out in the farm. Uh, but it's about having those things clarified for yourself and being able to tell other people so that they understand what it is that you're trying to do and how you want to make their community a better place. This has been a big topic.
This is a really, really big topic, and it's one of the most important things to do before you throw your hat in the ring.
You don't have to sit down and do it all at once.
No, it's going to take some time.
It's a process.
Spread it out.
Have a little bit of fun with it. I like to say, watch a little Parks and Rec. I'm a big fan of the Parks and Rec. Honestly, if you're looking for some TV that really lets you know what local government is like, Parks and Rec is shockingly accurate in a lot of ways.
We're small town government, yes.
I mean, while it's a caricature,
Yeah.
the just unnecessary outrage about stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love public outrage. It tells me where people are most enthusiastic about being involved with their community. But sometimes there are people who are just outraged for the principle.
Yes.
And God bless them. And you can't have a community like a town hall without we hate squirrels or just
Get rid of the squirrels.
yes, Twilight. Like
I know.
we gotta put Twilight in the time capsule for the town. So go back to some of the things that be sure while you're doing this to go back to some of the things that made you passionate about the idea of running for office. And a lot of people I see running for office right now is because they're outraged. They're frustrated. They're tired of waiting for somebody else to do something about anything. It's like, fine, if you won't, I will. And those are all really good reasons to run. But find joy in it too. And he's laughing at me right now.
Enjoy the process.
He's laughing because, I'm not a person who looks like they enjoy the process. But do I enjoy the process?
It can be very stressful.
But I don't look like
Oh, you love the process.
yeah. My coffee cups don't always survive the
Nope.
process.
So this is a very important topic. We spent a lot of time telling you what to do.
Just so you know, we're going to have episodes where we're talking about nothing but, what's the color scheme? What should your color scheme be? They're not all this heavy.
Our goal for this podcast is to help you get prepared in ways that you don't think about or that other people aren't going to tell you about. And that's what Be Political does, is we will provide you with campaign advice and campaign management that you can't get. Well, you can get it, but you're going to be paying out the wazoo for it.
But I think what Scott's trying to say is, some of the stuff seems overwhelming and you look like you're staring it down all by yourself. It looks like a huge, chasm of things that you need to know, answer, understand, and then have the self-confidence to go out there and put yourself out there to thousands of people. And feeling like you're doing that alone and not having any experience behind you or telling you how to get that done, that's a lot.
You don't have to do it by yourself.
You don't have to do it by yourself. That's why we're here. Go to Be Political LLC.
BEE, politicalllc.com. Check out the website and click on the podcast, and you'll get a list of all the questions that you need to be asking yourself that we talked about in this episode, and lots of other things. If you want, email us, ask us questions,
And follow us on social media.
follow us on social media.
You'll be able to find us at How to Run for Office and Get Away with It.
Check out our website. If you're considering even thinking about running for office, don't do it until you check out our website and get some advice that you can really use.
And be sure and go to BEEpoliticalllc.com/how to run to get that list of questions that you want to answer for yourself and notes from today's podcast. So you don't have to write it all down when you're trying to figure out what you need to write down. So what are we talking about in our next podcast?
Our next topic is called Know Your Zone.
Know your zone. Also a long-running joke in our household. Know your zone. You're going to learn everything you need to know about what your district looks like and how to use it to your advantage.
That'll be coming up on our next podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed doing it.
That podcast should have dropped already. It did.
It did.
Drop in with this one.
You'll be able to listen to it immediately after this.
Just binge on through, guys.
There you go.
Just go and listen to that one. Know your zone. Now let's get ready to run.